I just want to have a quick and dirty sort of analysis of Donna Lee, because I often, you know, not often, but sometimes people say like, music theory, do I really have to learn that? And yeah. And then sometimes I think, yeah, music theory, do students really have to learn that? And so there, of course, are those persons who have these huge ears and they hear everything. So if you're one of those, you can just like stop the video right now. I'm not one of those persons. I really needed to always have this synthesis, or whatever you call it, like understanding and playing. I always needed also to understand what's going on, because especially in the beginning of my jazz journey, I was really afraid to play a wrong note. Still am, but differently now, because now I know the next right note is always a half step away, but I'm digressing. I just wanted to say there's some like 4 things that I want to talk about with Donna Lee that might help you. So just get the lead sheet. You can use the one from the 5th edition real book. The first bars, right, and then we have a 2-5-1 to A flat. So it's an A flat major, secondary dominant, 5 going to 2, secondary dominant, 5 going to 5, 2-5-1. So nothing new about the sun. But myself, I've been thinking for years, right? We have the B flat 7 chord here, and then the B flat minor comes. And since this is also where the, you know, 4 bars change, or you get into the second row, that's what I want to say. It seems completely unrelated, right? But it is not unrelated, my friends, because the B flat 7 is just going to the E flat 7, right? So as we learned the B flat minor 7 and the E flat 7, the 2 and the 5 chord, they're basically sort of the same chord. There's many ways of explaining this, but it's good if you get that into your head. So you can also think the first bars go like, and then that's a complete different horse, because now it's just like a cycle of dominant 5, dominant 7th chord, right? Cycle of 5th, I want to say. In some lead sheets we have the G flat 7. I think some of you know already what I'm going to say, but I just want to mention it. In some lead sheets, right? So we have the D flat major and then the G flat 7. I rather think about the D flat major and the D flat minor 7, right? Because the D flat minor and the G flat 7, of course, are also interchangeable, like I said a minute before. But if you look at it like this, D flat major going to, which is the 4 chord, going to D flat minor, which is the 4 minor chord, it's just also easier to understand that. Right? We can remember that more easily, instead of thinking, oh, there's a dominant 7, a whole tone lower. And apart from that fact, we can also just, like, you know, really emphasize the 3, major 3, minor 3. And that will also make for a logical line. And then we have the C minor 7 in some real books. And here I want to say the C minor, and you know there's a whole video from Barry Harris on this topic. The C minor 7 is basically the A flat major chord, because those 2 chords are really interrelated. So just be sure, if you know you are in which key you are and you have the minor 7 chord on the 3rd degree, just in your head immediately think 1 chord. You can still play the C minor chord, of course, but not with a 9, because the 9 would be the D, which is not a part of the key. But you can play the C minor in your accompaniment, or the C minor 7 flat 13, or whatever you have. Play it in the accompaniment, but in your melodical choice, when you improvise it, you play A flat major scale. It sounds really good. Yeah, so give that a try. And last but not least, I want to mention the B diminished chord in this last bar, which is in this case, right, really like a G7 chord. And of course you can choose to play the diminished arpeggio there, but you can of course also play like the G altered scale, right? And I think those little things are really important, because we come from a place where it's just a bunch of chords to a place where it's families of chords, to a place where we understand that a new chord symbol or any chord symbol sometimes doesn't even sound like we expected. That's the crux. So always be sure if you're learning a tune that you always also check with your auditive experience. So an analysis, a good analysis in my mind is always analyzing it, but also with sort of playing it. So if I want to be sure I'm not talking complete bullshit about a song, I would first play over it, and things will become clear by playing over it and the scales that sound good. Because if you're listening to a lot of jazz music, there are also like cliches and things that we have already stored in our hearing that we want to hear, and that will inform also what we're going to play over something, if that's not too confusing. So I hope this is helpful, and I see you around. Bye.